As an introduction, for those who don't know me, I'm Mike Sehzue, and I have a business that's called, makes a brand that's called Sangar Rum. It's a rum brand that's made in Liberia, and our model is that we buy sugarcane from sugarcane farmers, smallholder farmers in rural Liberia, and we process that sugarcane juice into a premium rum. So the rum is for profit, and the model is that we buy our sugar cane, and then we also use some of the proceeds from the sale of the rum to enact impact projects there in Liberia. It's been an interesting journey so far. As far as funding, we haven't. Well, we sought funding. I'll say that we sought funding for a little while, and then found out it was extremely difficult to find funding for an alcohol-based business in some type of development context. And then the banks and things that we tried to interact with in Liberia, they were a bit of challenging, to say the least. Some of the payback period and the rates that were offered were laughable. I'll say. I'll just leave it at that. And it's been an interesting journey. As far as some of the learnings that we've had so far, I will say we haven't necessarily had to pivot, but we did have to pause. I'll call it a tactical pause that we had to make back in 2015, just due to the Ebola crisis. So I think I don't necessarily need to tell everyone what that experience is like, because I think we're all pretty much going through it right now with COVID, and how the uncertainty from day to day, week to week, whether your business can go forward, or whether it's safe to open things up. It's a challenge, and that process went on for about 10 months. We're about 5 months into the COVID experience, and I know people are pulling their hair out with that already, but it could go much longer. So I'll just say keep the faith. Stay strong out there if you are dealing with the COVID issues. And so for a 10-month time period, we had to stop. So we couldn't buy sugarcane, right? We couldn't buy sugarcane, and we couldn't necessarily process it and get to the market like we wanted to. So luckily, everything cleared up in late 2015. And in 2016, we finally had our first real event where we got the brand out there, started to make some sales, and it started to really complete the process from going from the field to the actual marketplace. And it was a good time, I would say, after a long hiatus to get back at it. But we're still looking at trying to expand what we do and to buy more sugarcane from more farmers, and to get more impact, right? We just about 2 weeks ago, we just had the opportunity to be introduced to lots of a group of women farmers. There was about 29 of them who are interested in selling their sugarcane to our facility. We're working out how that process is going to work. I don't think that we're going to seek funding, but it would be interesting if we can connect some of those smallholder farmers, some of the women farmers and men, to opportunities for them to scale their sources of sugarcane up. Then that way, we'll be the off taker of their sugarcane. Then complete that cycle. If they can get all the farming inputs and everything that they need to make their process more efficient. And going forward from now, we're just looking at it growing. We sell here in the U.S., here in Texas and in Georgia. We're going to be selling our rum in Germany pretty soon, probably before the end of this year. And the more sugarcane, or actually more rum that we sell, the more impact that we can make in the process. Our goal is to expand it to the point where we're working with a significant number of farmers, maybe up to 100 or more. And and then everything that comes out of that is just economic growth. And if we can be a model for other businesses that are growing in the agribusiness space, to show that a premium product can be made even in a rural community from some of the produce that's made in these rural parts of the world, then that's what we would like to do.
That's great. Thanks so much, Mike, for sharing. And it's such a fascinating story. And I always think that you have one of the views that can be the most helpful to social entrepreneurs in this moment of the pandemic, because you survived, something that was equally, public health related. So thanks for sharing. Dr. Ezenwai, would you like to go next?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. I hope you're well. The name of my organization is Micro Enterprise Social Entrepreneurship. We a mission-based social enterprise business that is a design, a holistic design focus. We look at the emotional, spiritual, physical, and all the aspects of women and youth in developing nations. And so the goal in terms of the mission statement is to activate wealth creation possibilities among women and youth through education and leadership development. This whole thing started a long time ago in my being, but as time went on, when I went to get my PhD, that's when it kind of really started. When I was really quickly passing, I had the opportunity to go and work in Nigeria. And in that process, I was passing by a marketplace. I saw this woman, it was a muddy marketplace. It was raining and everything. And this lady was out there on her, sitting down, and people would come out. And once they get out, she would wash their feet, and they would give her money for that. And in my brain, I went, such ingenuity. Imagine if you empowered or gave her more ideas or any of those things to be able to, that she can do even better than that. And of course I went, but I went to work, but that stayed in my mind. And then it was time to get a topic for my PhD program. And I went to my mentor, my dissertation mentor, and then she and I kind of came up with a topic about exploring barriers to women entrepreneurs. But we didn't want to just say in Nigeria. We chose a particular place, which is Enugu State, Nigeria. And so I went back to Nigeria and I finished my work, came back to the US, finished work in the US, and then went back to Nigeria to collect the data. And then in that process, I remember as I was collecting the data, I kept telling the women that I will come back. They probably thought I was joking, not serious or something. But the goal is to finish your degree, and then go save the world, right? And once I was done with that, I then went back. The first year I went back, and that was just in 2017. About 22 women showed up to this training, because again, I started doing this based on the research, and then I continued to do this based on research. I've constantly collected data from women and youth as I have been doing this. So 22 women showed up, and they were excited, they were happy. They even put together a group, have a name, that they now, they meet on a monthly basis. And so that happened, and I came back because one of the things I think I mentioned you saw in my introduction, but is that I am a full-time professor of entrepreneurship. And so I only get the opportunity to do this during the summer. I leave right as soon as school ends in May, and I come back right as soon as before school starts in the fall. So under normal circumstances, actually I would be traveling right now, and I'll be getting ready to come back. And so that's how this whole thing came about. And since then I've been going back, and I've also added other countries. Not just Nigeria. I've been to Ghana, where I conducted research and also training. Was in South Africa and Rwanda, Dominican Republic, and I've been to Mexico. So my goal is developing nations. Yes, my family, I was born in Texas, but I grew up in Nigeria. So I started with where I know, or like the place that I know, but then have moved to other places. And the goal is, particularly since I only do this during the summer, and I work with, it's important that I work with others to make this happen. So I work with NGOs and other governmental institutes, and even individuals who have who want to see this happen and who wants to who have synergistic missions. And so that way we can be able to all work together to grow this, so that when I'm not there, things are still moving and people are still are being helped. And so that's how that works. I mentioned a little bit ago that I have women, you know, in Nigeria that I mentor. So those women meet on a monthly basis. I am able to mentor them through my aunt, Humbolum, Mrs. Humbolum, who is the, I like to call her the, sometimes she's either the country director or the regional director, whichever one she goes with you know, with that. But that way she is able to meet with them, and then I get, you know, feedback from her, see how these women are doing and how they are, you know, growing and in their businesses. And there've been lots of, I call it testimonials, whatever you want to call it, from them doing well. Just really quickly, last year, after about a year and a half of training them and giving them financial literacy, you know, training, I was like, okay, I think you're now ready to do this. So I decided to give them a no interest loan, about you know, it's about $300 in loans, no interest. And one of them, just really quickly, one lady who is a seamstress had the, you know, as soon as she got her loan, she decided to buy some things, these materials called like linens that you use, or linings that you use to make clothing, that she now have in her store, instead of having to go buy it individually every time a particular customer comes in. She now has it in her store, and she's also able to make profit, and also able to deal with her customers, you know, give them better customer service. Another woman who received the loan was is a food seller. Before, because of the little food that she makes, you know, by the time she gets to her people, like her customers, the food is already done by the time she gets to the rest of the customers. But then she, you know, with the loan, she has more food now, and she's able to meet, you know, even more need, which helps a lot as well. So this is just a few of the testimonials that came out of that. Two women also gained access to financial, you know, institute for the first time. They opened bank accounts. I know some people are like, why is that important? You know, it's important because most of these people, most of these women, when you have money in the house, all of a sudden needs will come up. All of a sudden somebody in the household will go and take the money because they know where it is. But if you have it in the bank, you will, before you know, have to go and pick it up or get it from the bank, you probably will find other ways to make things happen. So that's very, very important. And for that's just some of the reasons, but there's more to that. We are a social benefits organization, like I said. So, you know, it's been a joy to run this business and to work with these women, and now youth. I have women, youth that I mentor, particularly again from Nigeria and Ghana. I have I talk with them at least once a month, or you know, just to kind of see how they're doing, and sometimes even frequently, depending on what's going on with them. So that has been, you know, a good, again, way of making this happen. But the goal for this organization is to have to be able to work with people, have like somebody in each of the countries who would represent the organization and can, you know, run with it, and so that I don't have to, even if I don't get there physically, things are still working and happening.
Thank you so much for sharing. That's wonderful. And yeah, and it sounds like you really started with the problem that you saw, and that you saw this solution, and then now trying to scale it through like a train the trainer kind of model, which is really
that's exactly it. Train the trainer. And I forgot to mention that in time I've self-funded all through. I haven't been, because I wanted part of the reason I've self-funded is because I wanted to prove the concept. I wanted to make sure that this is a thing before I go to people and say, now give me money, or please give me money. Not like, you know, I'm begging, I'm not I'm not demanding it, but I put in that close to $15,000 into this business, into this organization. But it is because it's my passion, and I will do it even if, nothing gets, paid to me, because that's one thing I would really love to do. Love doing.
Thank you. And then Adeni, if you want to go next, and I think you're country people. You're both that have a Nigeria connection, so that's the next. That's also a good connection.
Thank you so much, Nita, and thank you to wonderful people who have already spoken. My name is Adeni, and I'm the CEO of Access Drive. At Access Drive, we work in the education space to develop the capacity of students in low-income communities by providing them with the right mindset, skill sets, and tool sets for them to be globally relevant. You will all agree with me that there is something we'll call structural unemployment in my own country. The structure of the way our educational system is being set up has affected the kind of students we churn out year in, year out. From the teachers, from the lecturers in our schools, to the way they teach in school, and down to the curriculum that we use in our schools. It has greatly affected the productivity of our students. And that's why majority of time they said Nigerian youth are not employable. Right, so it's not because they are not smart, it's not because they are not intelligent, but they have not really been opportune to work, have more like hands-on experience. They have not really been opportune to get quality training. They are not in tandem with the kind of tools that are relevant in this age and time. There is a huge gap between what the education system of my own country is giving compared to what is required in the world of work, right? So this is why we are providing our students with the strategic skills training, the kind of training that is required for them to be relevant. We provide them with internship opportunities for them to have more like hands-on experience. And we also integrate them into our project-based learning platform. I mean, so that's pretty much what we do in terms of that. And our vision is to be the foremost organization who is responsible for raising a new generation of innovators who have the capacity to develop Africa economy as a whole. And for us, yeah, we are very open to funding. We work with some corporate organizations like Google, Nigerian Stock Exchange, to empower these people, to empower young people through their corporate social responsibility annex. Quite some time we've been pivoted some years back when we started in 2013. The real goal then was to create computer centers across Nigeria. But it got to a point that we realized that no matter the number of computers we are able to set up in the education sectors, eventually get to a point that they don't get to use it. It's always under lock and key, right? So now we now pivoted into strategic training. So we try to match up the individual's talent to the kind of training, the kind of career path in the 21st century, right? So basically we combine technology with talent, right? And that is what is really missing in our education sector. And the truth of the matter is every other industries have evolved, talk from health industry to transportation industry. Right now we have Uber, we have Taxify in Nigeria. In the health sector, we have robots diagnosing patients. But in the education sector, we've not really seen this progress. We've not really seen any significant change. And education sector is supposed to be the engine room of innovation, right? So it's really, we are really struggling in this, the sector is really struggling to catch up with other sectors. And with the way things are going, we cannot really catch up with other sectors. The education sector cannot really catch up with other sectors. So that's why we are leapfrogging Nigerian youth by providing them with the kind of skills that are relevant in the 21st century. That's more like it from my end.
Thank you so much. That's great to hear. And then we have Mark to go next.
Perfect. Well, I have to say that I'm so inspired by listening to these stories. So I'm the head of content and communications for a social impact company called iMerit. iMerit, actually, people think the merit in iMerit is meaningful from just a straight up way, but merit actually stands for meaningful employment through rural IT. And what we did back in 2012 was we set up in tier 2 and tier 3 communities around Calcutta, India. And we began to, we set up delivery centers, and we brought marginalized youth into the digital economy. We are a company that focuses on annotating data, usually unstructured data, for artificial intelligence and machine learning. So we've got a huge learning and development process, and I heard L&D throughout each of your talks and how vital that is. We skill people to do annotation, data labeling, and data enrichment jobs for some of the biggest companies in the world. You know, almost all of the Fortune 100 companies right now are tapping into some type of AI or machine learning process. And many of those companies come to organizations like iMerit to bring humans into that loop and to help close that. So I have a really exciting job. I'm the head of content and communications. And what that actually means is I'm the voice for about 2,700 people, which is really tremendous fun. We believe in many of the SDGs that tie to people. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, also 8 and 10. The ones we're focusing on mostly are probably 1, which deals with poverty, and 5, which deals with gender equality. So our missions are plain and simple: to have both a financial impact and a social impact. So we are getting money out to people in rural India, also Bhutan, and we set up a delivery center here in the United States, where I am. We set that up in New Orleans after the hurricane, where a lot of people were having trouble finding work because tourism to that city had dropped, and people who before the hurricane were working in the hospitality sector were all of a sudden out of jobs. So we went in there and helped folks with that. I mentioned gender equality. I think I mentioned well over 50% female. We also deal primarily with youth. Up until recently, the average age of our employees was 24. I say up until recently because that may have changed a little bit in the last 13 weeks. So iMerit, and I'm super proud of this, has been on a clip to add on average 100 employees a month, and when you're bringing this youthful base into your ecosystem, it manages to keep your average age young. So with COVID-19, we realized 0 layoffs. We did not furlough a single person, but our hiring was affected. So today, being a quarter or a quarter and a half, being 13 to 17 weeks into this COVID-19 situation, and because we haven't been hiring more youth, that average age could start trailing up a little bit. Depending on what we see in way of COVID-19 hotspots throughout this year and into the beginning of next year, we'll see what happens to our hiring situation. COVID-19 forced a major pivot on my company because both the US, where we have delivery centers, and India were locked down entirely, both at the same time. So my delivery centers in Bhutan was shouldering much of the workload, and my team in Bhutan did a fantastic job. One of the other things that I had to do, along with members of my team, and speaking very broadly, including the IT group, was I had to pivot from a 100% on-prem process where for security reasons, because we're dealing with data associated with very large companies, we always had the employees, the full-time employees, come to our operation to do the data annotation work. We had to switch that up and begin to push the work out to the residence of the employee. So I spent many weeks getting laptops to our employee base. We had to set them up with VPNs. In many instances, we had to get broadband into their homes. So it was quite an operation. The company is stronger today as a result of it. We won't change our long-term mission, which is to run our business on premise as we have the ability to do so. We see a great deal of value creating safe places in these communities for people to come and people to work. But we will always have a work from home capability that we could throttle up and throttle down as required. there were so many different heartbreaking aspects to COVID-19, but one of the ones that affected me the most was hearing the pain in the voices of our employees when we were forced to close our delivery centers. Many of our employees felt that they were safer in our offices than they were in their place of residence. And it's tough when people are asking you, can we please get the office open? And because of government regulations, you're just forced to say no. So that was probably the most difficult thing for me personally. Our centers today are open. We're still dealing with lockdowns, but they are open, and we do have skeletal staffs in them. But we also have most of our employees still in a work from home situation, and we're really relying on their comfort level to figure out who goes where when. I mentioned financial impacts and social impacts. Today there are employees in and around West Bengal who have bank accounts, who didn't have bank accounts before. We have employees who proudly boast that they have 401k plans and they're investing in mutual funds, which is super great. I think that people tend to blur financial impacts and social impacts, and one of the terrific things that stem from my organization, and probably from each of your organizations as well, is that when you put money in the pockets of people, you help change society. And we have the women who work with us, who now have a seat at the family table, and who are now looked at as role models in their community. And that's really one of the things that I hear more than anything when talking to members of my team. They love the money. They need the money. The money is vital, but how the jobs that we're providing changes dynamics with their fathers, with their brothers, with their neighbors, with members of the community is something that really hits home. I think I mentioned that we're a social impact company. We are a for-profit company. Our CEO is a woman, an incredible woman who had the vision for iMerit in 2012 after first starting and co-founding a foundation in India called Anudeep in 2006. So that's my story and iMerit's story.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you all for sharing. Just to wrap up, this has been a great session and a great, just an introduction to some of these topics. I just wanted to end with one question that you can just do kind of in a quick way to just give a sense of what you think about this. But one is, how would you define social enterprise? We've seen some different examples here. And do you believe that social enterprise can help solve poverty? So we'll end with that, and we can just go back around the circle with Mike, starting again with Mike.
Sure, sure. So, wow. So I believe, small and medium enterprises, right, small businesses, right, are the backbone of any economy. And when you talk about a social entrepreneurship or social venture, this is, I think, what businesses really need to be, right? I think all businesses need to have a social bend to them in some way, because if you're hiring people, right, you're training people, you're empowering those people. Now you're putting money in the hands of those people, similar to what Mark just mentioned. There's a social aspect to that, no matter what. But then the social enterprise takes it a step further and makes it impact one of the the top priorities of that particular business. So for me, I would say I would define any small business that works with people in general to be a social venture of some kind. But I think that taking that a step further to say that, okay, not only am I going to look at my profits as a means for my growth, but I'm also going to look at the impact that I'm making in that particular community. Now you're talking about an authentic, rubber stamped, social entrepreneurship venture. So yeah, I think that's the way it needs to go. And if we're talking about trade and increasing trade and for people, it does more than, it gives you some opportunities for training, right? It gives opportunities for all these other things that we're talking about, and that becomes the seed for which the entire economy can grow. So if everyone's looking at doing any type of impact venture, starting with a social venture, a social entrepreneurship venture will be something that'd be the best way to start.
So I define social entrepreneurship as a way to solve social needs through entrepreneurial means. That's my definition of it. You solve social needs through entrepreneurial means. And so that is one of the books that I read for my class with, for my students, defines, this type of problems that we're trying to solve, whether it's poverty alleviation or eradication, inequality, and any of these things. They define this type of problems as wicked problems. And wicked problems are big old problems that are there's no one way to solve it, but we all of us, as you can see, I think every one of us are trying to, again, here to alleviate poverty and everything. And we have different ways of going at it. Whether it's racial inequality, just regular inequality, and any of those things when it comes to women and so forth. And so, this wicked problem that is out there, we are looking for different ways to solve it. And that's what we are all here doing. And I do believe that you can solve these type of problem through social entrepreneurship, because we are meeting these social needs through entrepreneurial means. We are not trying to give people handouts. For example, these women that I work with, they want to work. They want to, they want to make their own money. Mark mentioned how these women, now have a seat at the table, in their household. That is the case with the women that I work with. They are now able to make household financial, decisions. And that was part of the things that I saw even before I started this. Like I said, I've always known that I wanted to do this. I just didn't know how. So when this opportunity, when I was getting my PhD came up, I was so excited. And also my school, I have to put that, the school where I got my PhD is a social entrepreneurship type school, where at the end of every paper you write, at the end of everything that you do, the question that they ask is, how are you going to make a difference with this? And so it gave me that opportunity to constantly, I just kept writing, and part of the reason I told the women I will come back, and I meant it. So yes, social entrepreneurship, I believe can help, and I think we're making a difference. And I'm glad that we're all together because I see, again, a lot of synergy here. We can all, even within ourselves here, can work together to make this happen. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nita. For me, I think if not for social entrepreneurship, I should be considered, or I should be categorized as a poor person. You know, my journey was very fantastic. I saw a need that in a particular community, there was no access to computer, there was no access to internet. And like 8-9 years ago, I decided to do it because I saw a problem and I decided to fix it. I have passion for information technology. So I decided to fix it and I trained people. And as a result of that, I was awarded, I was, you know, celebrated, and I felt, oh, this thing is cool. Let me start something, you know, from the whole thing. And, you know, that was what became Access Drive that we are seeing today. So it turned out to be something, it turned out to be a non-for-profit organization. And we get to see different leading brands coming into our space to say, oh, they would like to do something similar to what we're doing. They would like to develop the capacity of the young people. They would like to train them on high TT, and, you know, we get to work together. So I would have had the privilege, you know, of working with this leading brand, if not for the problem that I saw, and I was able to fix it. And in the same way, if you look at, check out about what we do, we first of all, you know, address the mindset of the young people. You must have a problem-solving mindset before you can become a social entrepreneur, right? Because what you want to do, you don't want to complain. It is the easiest thing to do is to complain. The easiest thing is to, you know, keep shouting what is not working. Everybody, a fool can do that, right? But what exactly are you doing to fix the problem? What is making you different from other people, right? So we try to give them the right mindset, which is when you see a problem, just put a Naira sign or put a dollar sign behind the problem. That is opportunity for you, right? So that's more like the mindset, you know, that we give to people. And you get to see how we walk them through our 4 Ps. We have our 4 Ps model. We have identifying a problem, that is number 1, turning the problem to passion, which was my story, turning the passion to a project, and turning the project to a profit, right? That's when the whole cycle, you know, completes. So in a nutshell, I believe that the easiest way to get out of poverty is to fix a problem. The easiest way to really fight poverty is to fix a problem. If you come to me and say you are hungry or you don't have money, I will ask you, what exactly are you doing? What problem are you solving? Because if I can solve your problem, I will get a value in exchange, right? I mean, that's more like the way I say it. So I believe that rather than complaining that government is not doing well, rather than saying things are not working, it's important for young people to think about the kind of problem they can provide solutions to, and, you know, continue to make that happen. I mean, it's not going to be easy, but you know, said extraordinary people go extra ordinary. What's it called now? Extraordinary people go extra mile, right? So you need to keep doing it. Yeah. Thank you.
So totally agree with the conclusions that all of the panelists have put out there. Perhaps I'll, because they've done such a good job, I'll push it one step forward and say, you know, not only is social entrepreneurship a good path for stamping out poverty, it's a societal must. It is so important for us to continue to advance society. One of the things that I will caution every social entrepreneur against is the possibility of being pulled off track. You know, one of the things that I deal with a little bit, not much, but I do deal with a little bit as a communications and content person, is when your social enterprise becomes successful, and it will, it does happen, you tend to think about things a little differently. And I work very hard to make sure that when members of our staff are excited about revenue or net operating income or any kind of a traditional corporate metric, a traditional financial metric, I have to spin it back to how many youth are going to be moved off the bench because we hit a number. Again, our company typically brought in 100 new people every month. And I work really hard to keep my team focused on that. It's not about the dollars and cents. It's about how many people we're moving off the bench and helping pull into the digital economy where they could have the financial security and the impacts to society that are important to us. So invest time in making sure that you're always grounded, even when you're realizing incredible success.
That's great. Well, thank you all so much. This has been, I think we could talk for hours. There's so much to go deeper with, but really appreciate you taking the time, and that all of the participants, if you're watching this, all of our Impact Catalysts will also be available to connect with during Impactathon. So you know a little bit about what they do, and you can reach out to them. And so you guys each have a different model, a different problem that you're solving. But if you're successful, you will be creating impact and helping people get out of poverty. So it is pretty amazing. So thank you all again so much, and we'll see you all at Impactathon.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.